Welcome back to the 31st episode of my still unnamed survival series. In the last episode, we made this windmill that is right behind me, right across our lake. And this is going to be the shell for a very important farm, which we're going to be building today. This farm should fit completely inside of this windmill. So let's grab some materials and start building. And the first thing I need is this beacon. We are going to dig a massive hole underneath our windmill to make space for 2 villages. Before we can actually start digging, we need to figure out where we're digging to. This farm is going to be a villager breeder, and this design needs 2 separate villages at the top and bottom of it. The top village is going to be the actual villager breeder, while down here is going to be the village preventing the newly spawned villagers from linking back up to the top village. And this is where the beacon comes into play. These 2 villages cannot be any closer than 90 blocks apart. And for good measure, I'm gonna make them a little bit farther apart than that. But this means no beds and no workstations within 90 blocks of either village. So in the future, when we decorate this area, we're not gonna be able to use our park benches anywhere near this farm at all. But anyway, let's start digging. This is gonna be just wide enough to fit our drop tube for our villagers. Now that we have this hole dug 90 blocks down from the top of our windmill, I need to gather up some materials. We need a tube running from the top all the way down to the bottom, and it could really be made out of anything, but I'm gonna use glass just so I can see the inside of it. So I'm gonna go smelt up some glass and grab all of the other resources we need to build this farm. And unlike other farms, this isn't gonna use any redstone. This is all gonna be villager mechanics and a little bit of water. I really need a super smelter. This is taking forever. Well, that took about an hour and a half to get all of that glass, and now that I actually have it, I think it's about time that we actually get started on this farm. I would like the top portion of this farm to be within this hay baled roof, but the problem is I actually haven't laid any of this out yet, so I don't even know if this will fit in here. I would like to put my villagers in the exact center of this. That way they can drop out pretty evenly all the way down the tube. I also need to build up this little holding chamber for my villagers right at the top here. I'm only gonna make one little holding chamber for these villagers. That way I only need to run one singular water line directly to my villagers. And now we're gonna give this chamber a test run. So I'm gonna drag these 2 villagers over to the windmill and pull these guys up into the villager chamber. Unfortunately, right now, this still counts as a village, so I'm gonna have to get rid of all of these beds, and... well, that's an odd little glitch there. But anyway, this needs to not be a village anymore. So now that all of the beds are taken down, and this is no longer a village, I'm gonna take these 2 guys to their new forever home. Almost there. Come on. Just a little further. No! I'm actually pretty surprised this is going so well. I didn't think we'd actually get them to the top so quickly. We are finally on the roof, and I have a little hole here that's gonna drop them straight into their new little chamber. Just like that. This is actually going surprisingly well. I am a little shocked that they haven't died. This is going really smoothly. This guy's being a little stubborn though. He won't get out of the corner. I don't want to hit him because I'm afraid he'll die when he hits the ground in the new chamber area. So I don't really know what to do here. Wonder if I can push him out from this corner. What? Oh, I'm gonna use that so often now. Get in the hole. Yay. Whoa. I should have seen this coming. Okay, so I'm gonna change these glass panes on the side here with normal glass blocks and see if that helps. This might make a difference with the way their hitboxes work now. So we're gonna give this a try. Alright, I've grabbed some more villagers and let's take them up to the windmill. Hopefully these guys aren't involved in some work-related accidents either. That was it. Use glass blocks on the side of their chamber and not glass panes. Perfect, but now that they're in here, I think that we should start setting up the village. So the first thing I need to do to start our village is build up our ice path. This is gonna bring our villagers some food and I don't really know where I want to put this thing yet. I was kind of debating on curving it out to the right, but I don't know if that's going to give me enough room to do everything I want. I still need to place beds up here and workstations, and I'm not exactly sure if I can fit it in if I curve the water path. I wonder if I can put it... No, that goes outside. Need that. I wonder if I could put it straight up and down, if there's enough room in between the wall and this little hole right here. Does that go straight down? It does. I think we can use that. I think we are going to use that. We're just going to drop this tube straight down, and this is where we're going to input our items. That is perfect. And now that I know where we're going to put our water lines, we actually need to place our floor. This is going to be where all of our beds and workstations are going to sit indefinitely. These won't be used by me or the villagers. However, these do have a purpose. It's basically going to make the village function the way it needs to. The beds still need to be usable, though, so I'm not actually sure if they'll work on glass. I should probably test that out first. Beds work on glass, so that's good to know now. Now that we know beds can be used and placed on glass, it's time we start placing the beds for our farm. I'm going to be placing 9 beds in this top village, and hopefully all of our villagers will bond to their beds. We don't actually have 9 villagers in here yet, and we won't ever have 9 villagers in here. We need a surplus of beds up the top village. That way they will be able to breed whenever I give them food items. And if I recall correctly, over 50% of the villagers need to have a profession. I could be wrong on that. I'm a little rusty with my villager mechanics. This farm might not even work. We'll just have to wait and see. But now that all of our beds and workstations are placed, we can start breeding up our villagers. I think I'm going to try and get 7 villagers in total. This farm and villager breeding basically runs off of raw food like potatoes and carrots. So I have grabbed a few stacks of each of those. 16 potatoes or carrots will give me 1 baby villager. And up in this top chamber, I would like to have 7 or 8 villagers, just under the amount of beds we have up in this village. This way, there's always an empty bed in this village for the villagers to keep on breeding. I don't know exactly how many villagers are in here, but I'm sure it's enough. So now I'm going to go underneath and switch around a few blocks that these villagers are standing on, just so this farm will actually work. Right now, they're standing on a solid glass block, but they need to be standing on a... Huh? I'm sure he wasn't important. Let's move on. So right now my villagers are standing on a solid glass block, and they need to be standing on a singular glass pane. What that glass pane is going to do is when there's a baby villager inside of this chamber, they are going to fall straight through into our drop tube. Just like that. That wasn't actually supposed to happen, but that's a pretty good example. But now that we've moved that solid block out from under their feet, we need to get rid of this block that the glass pane is connected to. This needs to be a 2x2 pixeled section, just barely enough for them to stand on. Now that our top village is finished, we can actually start work on the drop tube. This is going to be kind of small. I would recommend a 5x5 and not a 3x3. There's less chance of the baby villagers glitching out of the side of the wall, which does occasionally happen on the 3x3. But on a build like this, if they glitch out of the side, they'll probably just die. So in the end, it doesn't really affect that much. Don't forget to build the water tube system as well. There's going to be a water elevator going directly up to the top village from the bottom one, and that is what is going to deliver our food to the top village. Our drop tube is now all the way down 90 blocks away from the top village, and I'm going to do something a little differently with this village than up at the top. We're only going to have 1 adult villager here, and he is going to be the entire village. All the other villagers are going to be moved into a villager sorting system. The villagers are going to be dropped into this chamber right here, where there is going to be a water stream pushing them out to the left. This water stream is going to be moving them into a villager sorter. What this sorter is going to do is separate the baby villagers from the adult villagers. The fully grown villagers are the ones who are ready to use. And this is the base of our villager sorter. We have water at the bottom of this little chamber back here, and at the top of this chamber, there's going to be more water, floating water. The baby villagers won't be able to reach that, but as soon as they grow up, they will be able to reach the water, flow down the next water path, and into this front chamber, very easily sorting our villagers. And this is what this system looks like, completely finished. Pretty simple, no redstone. And over here is going to be our food input water line. This is going to be a bubble elevator all the way up to the top village. I'm up at the top village and we're about to add the water. I want to protect my villagers from being flooded, so I'm going to put a sign above their head to stop any water from flowing into them. The next thing I'm going to do is place a solid block in my drop tube and then break a thing of ice over it. That way we have a solid block directly above our tube that's flowing in the direction we want it to flow. After that, we're going to break the block and let all of this water flow down the tube. And then we're just going to jump in. I'm gonna check along this entire pipe and make sure that there's no holes where water is escaping. That's very important. Once I'm sure that my tube is not leaking anything, I'm gonna put some dirt at the very bottom of it and then go all the way up my tube with kelp, making all of the blocks solid. And once we have a bubble column going all the way up, we're gonna close it up. This is gonna make sure we don't lose any items when they're traveling upwards. We're almost there. This has almost everything we need for it to be in complete working order. But we are going to give it a small little test right now. We are going to toss 16 potatoes up into this little water tube, and we should get one baby villager dropping down. 16 in, and now we wait, keeping our eyes at the top of the tube. We should only get one baby. Right there. Perfect. That was actually really quick. I don't think it's actually supposed to be that quick, but we are going to use him for a very special purpose. He is going to be the sole inhabitant of the lower village. We're going to wait till he grows up and gets into this chamber here, and then we're going to move him in the back where he's going to get a bed and a workstation. He is going to be the village that prevents any other villager from bonding to the top village. He has a very important job, and we're gonna set him back here in this corner. And now I just gotta wait until he grows up. He is all grown up now, and I have moved him back into this little section of the village. And now I'm just gonna give him a bed, and he should bond to it. I also don't think he's gonna move inside of that glass, which is awesome. Now we will leave him alone forever in his new home. We should probably name tag him, but I don't actually have any name tags right now, so I'm gonna procrastinate on that. But that is the farm. That is a fully functional villager breeder with no redstone, which I think is pretty cool. And now that it's working, I'm gonna stock up on a few more villagers, and I'm gonna throw about a stack and a half of food items in there and just gather up a lot of them. And these guys are just gonna sit here until I can find a use for them. They should sort themselves out. Get it? Because they're in a sorting system. And now that the inside of our farm is completely finished, we can actually fix our exterior, put our roof back on, board up our doors, and now we can call this farm done. Just kidding. I mentioned earlier that we can't have any workstations or beds within a certain perimeter of this farm, and that perimeter is what we're going to lay out now. 90 blocks from the center of this village, which should be the center of this building, is the no-no zone for beds and workstations. And we're going to blend this in with the decoration and the theme of our village by putting a giant half-circle path all along the outside of this building. I think that is going to make this marker look pretty good, disguise it, let us know that we can't put anything inside of it. So let's plot out our new road. And first spot, 90 blocks away to the north. Right here? Here, yeah. Oh. Okay, well, that's our spot. We're gonna go out that direction and... Oh wait, that's not our spot. We need to be in front of this building. That... Right here, this is our spot. Yep. Okay, right here is the official spot. This is the very peak of our circle. Honestly, I kind of planned on laying out that entire circle, but I don't really feel like it right now, so we're gonna put that off until the next episode. But for now, we are gonna move on to something completely different and head directly into the Nether. I need to find some warped fungus. I gotta get a lot of warped stem. My only nether portal is still in my starter house. I've been thinking about some locations and designs for the future nether portals, and I think I've decided on one, but that's pretty far away. That's gonna be pretty much right before we build our actual city, and I would like to move our mob farm by then, so that is very far away. So I might have to build a temporary one soon. I've flown over to the warped forest that's right by our wither skeleton skull farm, and I'm just gonna grab a few warped fungus and a few of these warped stem. This is a pretty important block in my base, so I decided I'm gonna farm a lot of it. That forest was a little smaller than I thought it was, so I'm gonna make a farm in the overworld to suit my needs. So I've picked out this little plot for this farm, and the goal of this farm is to gather up a whole bunch of warped fungus. So I'm gonna make a little platform of this warped nylium, and this is going to be the same principle of a flower farm. I am going to bone meal the warped nylium while it's being pushed back and forth by 2 lines of pistons. And those pistons are gonna go here, right on the side of this platform facing inwards. And the pistons directly across from them need to have a 1 block gap between the nylium and the piston head. After replacing the pistons, we need to plot a spot for our redstone, and this is going to be a fairly simple circuit with an observer facing directly towards the nylium, and the output facing some redstone dust, which then connects to repeaters. These repeaters will then connect to redstone dust over the top of all of the pistons, which will in turn power the pistons. Depending on your world, you might need to change the timing of the repeaters. 1 line of pistons should retract while the other extends, letting the floor move back and forth. So basically how this farm is going to work is this observer is going to act as our clock when we bone meal the block in front of it. This is running into some redstone behind us. This is going to be on 2 ticks. This is going to be on no ticks. If you want to run this farm, all you have to do is bone meal the block right in front of the observer and the floor will move. And just like that, we have a limitless supply of the warped fungus. And now I'm going to run this for a little bit and get kind of a large stockpile. Now that we actually have a lot of this warped fungus, I need to find a place to actually farm the warped stems. And I'm thinking this little island. I haven't really used this island for anything, and I think it's about time we put this to use. I'm going to try out a few different methods of farming. This isn't going to be any automated farms or anything of that nature, just trying to get as many warped stems as possible in the shortest amount of time without actually building a farm. I've seen a few different forms of automation for the warp stems and crimson stems, and honestly, I've never really been a fan of any of these designs, so I'm just not going to build any of them. So I'm going to try it in this sort of old-fashioned way. I'm going to plant a bunch of these warped stems all across these lines and see if this will actually give me a lot of warped stems for the time that it takes to mine it all. One thing that I am worried about with this method is when you grow these, the fungus block generally eats away anything in its way, and I'm kind of worried that growing these so close together will make it so they eat away the stems and I will get more fungus than the stem, which is the exact opposite of the thing I'm trying to farm. But I'm going to give it a shot anyway. Yeah, so that was terrible. 10 out of 10, do not recommend. That was the worst method I have ever seen. In total, taking that all down took about 3-ish hours, and I only got about an inventory's worth of warped stem. So that's not good. We are 100% gonna need to find something entirely different. This is all that I got. Not really worth it at all in any way, shape, or form. So I'm gonna try another method now, and hopefully this works better. So basically the next idea is kind of a simple one. These fungus blocks can't break through stone blocks, so I am just going to try and surround the trunk of this with a fairly tall pillar of stone with a hole in the top. This way I can launch myself up to the top and just use gravity to dig down the trunk. This way I don't even have to worry about breaking the fungus blocks, and it'll all be about the warped stem. I'm also going to be using my Riptide 3 Trident to launch myself up here from a block of water, so 30 blocks is about the height of Riptide 3. Wow, that is the perfect height. Well, this is built now, so I think I am gonna go ahead and give it a little test. I've been running this for a decent amount of time now, and this is already worlds better than growing them all on one little platform. And if you get lucky with these really tall ones a lot, it's even more productive. This is definitely the method I'm gonna be going with to farm all of this warped stem. And with the addition of those 3 farms, I think we're going to call it an episode right here. I had a lot of fun making today's episode, and I hope you enjoyed it too. If you did enjoy it, feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. But anyway, I hope to see you next time. Goodbye. If you're still watching, thank you. I really appreciate it. And as always, if you have any tips or tricks for using DaVinci Resolve or video editing in general, please leave a comment down below. I would love to hear your opinions. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.